your rotation needs to be as many guys as you can trust. But what happens if one guy catches fire? I pointed out the example. Go back to 2013. Trey Mason is in a running back room with Corey Grant and Cameron Artis-Payne, guys who did really well that season. But the way Trey Mason was running ball, especially towards the end of the year, you wanted to give him as many carries as possible. Sometimes that happens.
Yes, and I've used Ben Tate and Trey Mason as sort of examples, too, of, I mean, we've seen a couple of running backs who struggled when the offense was broken, and then they were able to be part of they were able to be important parts of a much better offense a year later. Now, Ben Tate had like 270 carries or whatever it was in 2009, but he was also, I mean, McCaleb was there, but he was more or less the only running threat on the team. I think part of what's going to limit Jeremiah Cobb's carries this year is the understanding that Byron Brown's also going to run the ball quite a bit himself.
That's a big point, because I think this team's going to run the ball a lot, and I think you're going to get more snaps because of just the nature of the offense. But, yeah, keep in mind, Byron Brown needs to get production and touches and opportunities of a lead running back, and because he was one of the best. You know, last season we talked about it. If you take away his sacks and just looked at his true rushing attempts last season, he's the best high-volume rusher in the country last season, just because what he can do is pretty special. Now, some of that scramble, some of that, you know, is out of design stuff, but he was really, really good at just being a weapon on the ground. And so when you think of the Auburn running back rotation this season, I think it's a great point here that you brought up when we've been talking about this. Treat Byron Brown like part of that running back rotation, because he's gonna get the play of that.
And that the running back, to me, the discussion about Auburn's attack on the ground this year, sort of it's understanding that Byron Brown's going to have a big role, understanding Jeremiah Cobb is going to have a big role. You can argue about how big of a role it's going to be, but it's everything. It's what's left, right? How many other running backs are going to see the field? What kind of role will Auburn have for Omar Mabson or Najee Davenport or
Bryson Washington? And I've said I think a healthy Bryson Washington plays a good bit for this team. I want to point out something also. The last 3 seasons at USF, the 3 USF seasons for Alex Golesh in charge, he basically had a 3-man.
I called him Najee Davenport, Nakai Davenport.
Nakai, yeah.
Najee Davenport was a Miami running back 25 years ago.
There was a 3-man rotation where, you know, you would have not quite a third, and a third of your running back carries split up, but it was a pretty even balance. That was kind of mostly what you got really the last 2 seasons. First year, he kind of inherited a guy who could be a little bit more of a feature guy. If you go back to his time at Tennessee, Dan, in 2021, Hendon Hooker carried the ball more than anybody else on that team. Now, they had some injuries, but you got Jabari Small, had about 12 carries a game, and then Tyon Evans, who didn't play all the season, but played a good bit of it in 2021, had